Hi guys, welcome back again to another video. If today is your first time of stopping by, thank you. Please consider subscribing, turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I upload a new video. Today's tutorial will be on how to cut and sew this stylish milkmaid dress with gathered and basque waistline. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please continue watching and don't forget to subscribe. Share this video to your family and friends. So let's get started. This is the fabric I'm using. I have 4 yards of fabric here. This is a bale fabric. You can use any fabric of your choice. If you are a slimmer person, you can use 3 yards or 2.5, depending on how full you want it to be. But here I have 4 yards. I'm going to draft on a pattern first before I cut it out on the fabric. Here is the pattern I'm using. I'm going to cut the front and the back together on one pattern. This place I'm touching right here is going to be where I'm going to mark my zipper allowance. Here I'm going to go in by 1 inch, and this 1 inch is for the zipper allowance. You can use 2 inches, you can use 1.5. So I'm going to mark 1 inch down and connect it to have a straight line. So after this, all the measurements I will be taking now will be on this green line. That is where we'll be starting the measurements. The next thing I want to do here is, this gown is off shoulder gown, so I'll be removing 5 inches from the upper part. So this is how to count it: 1 2 3 4 5 on your tape. So this place I'm touching here, I will mark a straight line there, and that line will serve as our shoulder line, but we'll not be needing shoulder, but that line is going to be where we are going to start all our measurements from. So now I'm going to place that 5 inches, I'm going to place it on that new line that I just marked. So after placing it on it, the next line that I want to mark is the shoulder to the chest line. To get your shoulder to the chest line, you are going to divide your round bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5. My bust is 43, divided by 6 is going to plus 1.5 is going to give me 8.6, but I will just approximate it to 8.5. So I'll be marking 8.5. After marking it, the next line will be the shoulder to the under bust. So I will still place that 5 inches on the new line, then I will mark my shoulder to the under bust. Shoulder to the under bust is 15.5. So I'm going to mark that 15.5. Still placing it on that line, I will mark my shoulder to my waistline. The shoulder to the waistline is 18, but because if you look at the screen, if you look at the picture now, you will notice that the half length is not on the actual half length. So I will be adding 2 inches to that measurement. So if I add 2 inches to the 18, so I will use, that will give me 20. So I'll be marking 20 inches. My shoulder to the waistline will now be 20 inches. So I will mark it now. So you mark it now, then you are going to connect all these points into a straight line. So this is it. After marking it, the next line, this line is the bust line, this line is the under bust line, under bust, and this is the waist line. The next line that we are going to mark is where you want your basque to be. You can use 3 inches, 4 inches, 5, 6, depending on what you want, but you don't go more than 6 inches if you don't want your clothes or gown to be looking funny. So you can mark 6 inches, but for this one I'll be marking 4 inches. After marking, I'm going to connect it to have a straight line also, and this is our basque line, or you can say the gown length. So that is all. So this part is the zipper allowance. Remember I said we are cutting the front and the back together, so all the measurements that will be taken out will be from that new line that I marked, which is the green line. This first line, like I said earlier, will be the shoulder line, so you can just write shoulder to it. So now it's time to mark all our measurements. On this shoulder line, the shoulder is 16. If I divide it by 2, will give me 8 inches. But because this is an off shoulder gown, so I will remove 1.5 from that 8 inches. That will give me 6.5. So from that shoulder line, I'm going to mark 6.5, starting from the green line. So I will mark 6.5. On the bust line, I'm going to mark my bust divided by 4. On the bust line, I'm going to divide my round bust measurement by 4. And the round bust is 43 divided by 4 will give me 10.75. So I've marked the 10.75. Then I'll go to the waistline. I'm going to mark my waist divided by 4. I'm going to mark it there. Your round waist divided by 4. The waist I'm working with is 40 divided by 4 will give me 10. So I've marked it. Then I'll connect the bust line to the waistline. I'll connect the 2 points. I will connect it together like this. After you are done connecting it, this is what we have here. Then this point here, the shoulder line, I'm going to connect it to meet the bust line. Just slant it the way I'm doing. This is off shoulder gown. It's not going to be like our normal armhole. This is how off shoulder armhole is. So after that, I'm going to add my seam allowance. I'll go to the bust line. I'm going to add 1.5 inch. You can do 1 inch. So I mark 1.5. On the under bust line, you mark 1.5. On the waistline, you mark 1.5 as well. So you are going to connect all the 3 dots. You are going to connect it to a straight line like this. After that, the next thing is to connect the line to the basque line. And to do that, the actual waist measurement that we marked before we add the seam allowance, that is when you are going to connect it to the basque line, to the basque length. You can do it into a slanted line. You can do it to have a curvy line like this. So this is all for this part. Now you need to add your seam allowance because you are going to join the down part to the upper part. So I'm going to go down from this place I'm touching here by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go down to the basque length by 1/2 inch also. So that is all for this part. Then you connect it to meet the zipper allowance. On the upper part, you can add 1/2 inch. Remember, this is the back. We are cutting out the back first. You add 1/2 inch to it. Then on the armhole, you can add 1/2 inch also. But remember, if you had it on the pattern, you don't need to add any seam allowance again when you are cutting it on the fabric. So that's all. Now I'm going to cut it out. After cutting it out, this is what you have. The next thing is to cut it out on the fabric. I'm going to cut out the back first before I cut out the front. Place your fabric into two like this. Then you are going to place the pattern on it. Adjust it very well. Then you are going to pin it to the fabric. You are going to pin the pattern to the fabric. After pinning, you are going to cut it out. We don't need to add any allowance because we already had the allowance when we are drafting the pattern. This is it. After I am done cutting it out, I'm going to remove the pattern now. So this is what we have for the back. We have two back because the zip is going to be at the back. So this is the back. Make sure you indicate the right and the wrong side because this fabric look alike. The front and the back look exactly the same thing. That's why I'm marking the chalk so I can know the back and the front. Now it is time to cut out the front, and this is how you are going to fold it. We had zip on the back. I'm going to fold the zip allowance. I'm going to fold it in. This is how you are going to fold it to the back. You are going to fold that zipper part. You are going to fold it into two. The front is not going to have a zipper. That is why we are folding it like this. And if you turn it to the other side, this is what we have. That is the zipper that we already folded. It is time to work on the front. This part I'm touching is the under bust line. I'm going to slash open the under bust. So I've cut it into two. The upper part will be where the gathers is going to be. So this is the front and this is the front also. So this part, when I want to cut it, this is it. So I'll open it up like this, then work on the upper part first. Here I already cut out a fabric and I fold the fabric into two like this. I'm going to place the upper part where there is armhole is the upper part. I'm going to place it such a way that I have excess on the side upper part, and this down part I had half inch on that part. So after placing it on the center front where we fold the zipper, I'm going to add 8 inches. After marking the 8 inches there, I'm going to connect it to have a straight line. After marking, this is what we have here. So on this down part, I'm going to add half inches to it. I'm going to have half inch to it because we need half inch to join it to the down part. That is why we had half inch to it. Remember, we slash it, we cut the upper part, we cut it into two. After marking it, you are going to cut it out. When you are cutting the armhole part, please don't forget to add half inch or quarter of an inch to join it with the sleeve. Remember, we are putting sleeve on it. Then on the other part, this upper part, there will be elastic on it. So I added extra 1 inch to the half inch we added when we are drafting it. So this is all for this upper part. So I'm going to cut this second part. I'm going to cut it So I already placed this on the fabric and I cut it out. Then on the upper part I had half inch. Remember, we are still going to join the two together, the two that will slash open. So this is what we have for the second upper part. I'm going to remove the pins, but before that we need to cut it into two. The down part will be cut out into two instead of one. We are going to use one for the lining. So you place it on each other like this, then you are going to trace it out. So this is it, and this is the second one. This is the second one. One will be for the main fabric and the other will be for the lining. Time to work on this upper part. I'm going to mark 1.5 inch, and this 1.5 inch is where we are going to pass our rope to, because there is rope at the front. So this part I'm working on is where we are going to gather, where there will be gather the upper part, the breast part. So after I mark 1.5, I'm going to go down by 2 inches as well. So from that 2 inches, I'm going to sew it the way I'm marking the chalk, the way I'm tracing the chalk. That is where I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew it by half inch down. This is it. After I am done joining, I'm going to fold it like this. I'm going to fold 1/4 inch, then I'm going to fold another 1/4 inch. So I'm going to sew the two sides. After sewing the two sides, I'm going to sew the 1.5 inch we left for the rope that we will use to tie it. I'm going to sew it also. So this is it here. As you can see the joining, I already fold it, and I fold the 1.5 for the rope also. Now we need to cut out the rope. So here I have 2 inches here, 2 inches. I cut out the rope is about 60 inches. I'm going to cut it into two, making 30 inches for both sides. This is how I'm going to fold it. I'm going to fold it half inch, then fold it together. This is the rope here, and I'm going to cut it into two. So I have 30 inches on both. Now this is the upper part where we are going to insert the rope. So now I will take my pin. This is the pin that we are going to use. I'm going to put the rope inside the pin. Then this is how you are going to put the rope inside it. After that, you are going to pin it, or you take it to your sewing machine and sew it that part. I will repeat the same process for the other part. And this is what we have. You can draw your rope now. So you tie your rope. After tying, this is how it's going to be. This is the back and this is the front. What I'm going to do now is to bring the down part, the one that we cut it out. Then I'm going to place it on it and place it like this. This is the down part. I'm going to fold it into two, then notch the center. Then I'll place it, making sure that the right side is facing the right side. I'm going to look for the upper part, the joining part, then match it with the notch part. Then pin it. As you can see, the upper part there is excess on it because we need to pleat it. So I will put the side on each other like this. Remember we had 1.5 inch for the joining allowance. I will mark that 1.5 inch. That is where I'm going to start the gathers. I will repeat the same process for the other side. I measure 1.5 inch for the seam allowance. So I'll place it on it like this, then go ahead to go and pleat on it. I will start from that mark. I will not start from the edge of it. I will start from the mark to the downside of the second mark. That is how you are going to pleat on it. So let me go and do that and come back. This is what we have after pleating. This is what we have. So this is the second part. I'm going to place it on it like this. You can notch that part also. You notch it, then you are going to match the notch to the notch, match the notch to each other. Look for the notch, then you are going to pin it. Then go ahead and go and sew it by 1/2 inch also. So this is how it's going to be after you finish sewing. Now this is it after we are done sewing. This is what you have. As you can see, the seam is inside, not outside. This is the back. So now I'm going to go ahead to go and join that part that is open, the lining and the fabric. I'll go ahead to go and join it by 1/4 inch now. Then you take it, then you go and join the both of them together. This is it after we are done joining. So I will leave it and go ahead to go and work on the back. Now this is the two back, and what I will do now is I'm going to sew the upper part. I'm going to fold it by 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to fold it again. Remember we had 1/2 inch to the upper part for the back. So I'm going to sew that 1/2 inch now and do the same thing for the other parts. This is it after I have done joining it. I'm going to place the two together like this and go ahead to go and join the two back together to have one. I'm going to join that zipper part, the 1 inch we added for zipper allowance. I'm going to sew it with temporary stitch. After joining the both of them, this is what we have. So I turn it to the right side and I will place the front on it like this, making sure that the right side is facing each other. Then what we are going to do is we are going to take our measurement, the 1.5 inch we added for the side. Now I already joined the both side with 1.5 inch we added, and this is it. Now I'm going to turn it to the right side for us to see. So this is it now. This is what we have. Now I'll go ahead to mark the down part. So if you are measuring it, make sure you are not measuring it from that basque effect. So measure it from the side and I place it on it like this. So this is it. I already cut it out. The full length of this gown is 45 inches and we have 20 inches for the upper part. So I cut out 28 inches here. I'm going to use the 2 inches to fold the downside, then have 1 inch to join the lower to the upper part. Here I'm removing the bag that I sewed together, the zipper part. So I'm removing that part. After that, this is what we have here. So this is the place I'm going to gather. This is where we are going to gather that down part. So you take the down part that you want to gather, you place it on the upper part. You sew it by 1/2 inch. But when starting your guard, make sure you mark that your 1 inch for zipper allowance. After that zipper allowance, that is where you are going to gather the fabric. That's where you are going to start your gathering, and that is how you are going to do it to get to the other end. So let's go to the sewing machine now and go and do that. This is it after I have done joining it. As you can see, the gathers, the pleats, just a tiny pleat. I have a detailed tutorial on that. So this is what we have after joining it. The next thing now is to go ahead to go and cut out the sleeve. To know the amount of fabric you are going to cut out for the sleeve depend on your round sleeve measurement. My round sleeve is 15, so I'm going to multiply that 15 by 2 because there is elastic at the hem of the sleeve. So I have 13 inches for the length, and I'm going to use 1 inch to fold the downside and 1 inch to the upper part. So that means I have 11 for the length. So here I want to cut out the back and the front together, so I already folded it into 4. Here I'm marking 1 inch that we are going to use for the elastic on the upper part. So you mark that 1 inch out, then you take your fabric, you take the cloth, the armhole part, you are going to place it on it like this. Then you use your chalk to mark it. After that, you take it off, then cut it out. So you cut this part out. So this is how it's going to be after you are done folding it. So you notch that elastic part, you notch it. You do the same thing on the downside before you remove the both sleeve. Notch that part also. That is where we are going to put the elastic. And this is the two sleeve. I'll go ahead to go and fold that 1 inch we added on the upper part and the down part. I'm going to go ahead to fold it like this. Fold it ½ inch, then fold it again. So I'll go and sew it and repeat this same process for the other sleeve also. Then come back after sewing it. This is it here. I already joined the two parts. I already joined it. And this is our elastic. To know the amount of elastic you are going to cut out, you are going to measure your round sleeve measurement, then remove 2 or 1 inch from that measurement. So my round sleeve is 15. I remove 1 from it, so I have 14 on the elastic. Just measure your round sleeve here. This is how you are going to measure a round sleeve. Then I'm using my pin to insert the elastic to the hole. So this is how you are going to do it. You do the same thing for the both side. After you get to this point, you don't want the elastic to enter the hole. You are going to pin it on the other part, then remove the elastic from the other side. Make sure you pin that part also, then remove your pin. That is how you are going to do for the upper part also. For the upper part, remember we remove 5 inches when we are cutting it on the paper. So you are going to measure that 5 inches because this sleeve is the front and the back sleeve. So you are going to mark 10 inches. You are going to cut out elastic of 10 inches or less than 10 inches. Then you insert it to the side. So do the same thing for this part also. This is what we have here. I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut off shoulder sleeve. You can check the channel, you are going to find it. So here, this is the gown that we are working on. After that, you are going to fix your off shoulder sleeve. After fixing the sleeve, you are going to join the back together, then add your zip on it. And that's all for this today's tutorial. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in another video. Please don't forget to subscribe, share this video to your family and friends. I will see you guys in another video. Bye.